Hey there, ramblers and rovers, this is Miguel, and today we're gonna talk about what my top 10 tips for visiting Chichen Itza are. So Chichen Itza is one of the official 7 wonders of the world. As a UNESCO designated World Heritage Site, Chichen Itza is one of the places that you cannot miss when traveling in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. So if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that Chichen Itza is either very high on your bucket list for Mexico, or that you are very much considering going to Chichen Itza. So here are my top 10 tips for those of you who have decided to visit this amazing site here in southern Mexico. Starting with tip number 1, arrive early to the site. So, located in the heartland of the Yucatan Peninsula, Chichen Itza is located in one of the hottest places in all of Mexico. And being this amazing World Heritage Site, it draws a lot of crowds from all over the world, and it is one of the most visited sites anywhere in the world. So it's very important to consider arriving as early as you can to the site for these 2 reasons. You can beat the worst of the heat by arriving before the heat really takes off in the morning. Yucatan heat can be very oppressive, it's very humid, it's very tropical jungle-like heat. So just for that reason alone, it'll be worth going to Chichen Itza very early in the day, and considering a visit time of somewhere between 2 to 4 hours, depending on how much detail you want to take in, how many photographs, and how much time you want to spend at the site. It'll really help you suffer less through the experience if you're there before the heat really takes off around the late morning, early afternoon. Another very considerable reason for visiting the site early is that Chichen Itza draws crowds from all over the world. So if you want to get those amazing images of the Palace of Kukulkan, the major pyramid that is so iconic, it's very recommendable to get there early before the site is swamped with tourists wanting to take selfies and videos before the main attractions at the site. Just another little reason that will make the case for arriving early to Chichen Itza is that you can get way better lighting the earlier you're there, and you can take way better photographs of the site to share with people back home. So tip number 2 is very important, and that is staying hydrated. Hydration on the Yucatan Peninsula is extremely important. You're gonna spend a lot of time in Chichen Itza out in open spaces admiring ruins in the sun. And considering that Yucatec heat can be very humid, oppressive, it's very important that you take measures to stay hydrated throughout your visit to Chichen Itza. Whether that's as simple as bringing a water bottle with 1 or 2 liters of water, or being a little more preventative and bringing some electrolytes or something special to give you that extra hydration while you're exploring the site. It's just very important. I cannot overstress how easy it is to suffer dehydration when traveling in this humid tropical environment. The least thing that you want to do while being in this amazing site is be thinking about your thirst and wanting to imagine a glass of water instead of imagining how this ancient site would have looked like back in the day when it was this powerful city. So believe me, you will really be grateful that you took that extra liter of water on your visit to Chichen Itza. Which brings us to tip number 3, protect yourself from the sun. Remember that the Yucatan Peninsula receives year-round sunlight and is known for its year-round heat. If you're going to go to Chichen Itza and you're going to spend time in the open spaces for 2, 3, 4, or even more hours, depending on how long you want to visit, you have to remember to account for protecting yourself from the sun. You can do this in a variety of different ways. Remember to bring your sunscreen, especially one that is very high in SPF protection. And another great tip, which will also make you look amazing in those photographs, is bring a broad-brimmed hat that really protects your face from the oppressive Yucatán sun. As an extra tip, just remember to bring very light clothing, very breathable clothing that will enable you to sweat and will let your skin breathe, considering that the Yucatán humid heat will make you very, very sweaty. So protecting yourself from the sun will allow you to explore the site without worrying too much about getting sunburned or thinking too much about your bodily discomfort. So this brings us to tip number 4, bring comfortable footwear. Believe me, your feet will thank you by the time you leave the site. So over the course of the 3-4 hours that you are going to spend exploring Chichen Itza, you are going to be walking a lot. So be sure to bring the most comfortable footwear that you have available, that you brought with you on your travels. Your run-of-the-mill flip-flops are not going to cut it. Bring comfortable shoes, bring shoes that are breathable. Exploring the site in your heavy hiking boots at the height of Yucatán afternoon heat is not the best idea. Neither is bringing flip-flops that are going to blister your feet over the course of the hours that you're going to spend there. Bring shoes that are comfortable, the most comfortable things that you have. Trust me, your feet will thank you by the end. Tip number 5, consider a guided tour. Chichen Itza is a site that is rich with history, culture, and there is a lot to learn. It can be very daunting to go to these ancient sites and know what you're looking at unless you've done plenty of research beforehand. So consider engaging one of the locals and doing one of the guided tours around the site. Not only are you helping out the local economy by providing locals with jobs that also enrich your own knowledge and worldview and appreciation of this extraordinary site that you are going to visit, but it will also allow you to really gain a deep appreciation for what you're looking at and the significance that it played in the lives of the ancient Maya. So consider hiring a tour guide for the experience. If you are traveling to Chichen Itza from Valladolid or Merida, you could reach the site easily through one of the many tour operators who offer tours of the site. Not only do you get the expert tips, transportation, insights into the site, you also get to experience this incredible place alongside others who are in your same situation, and you can maybe even make a few friends during the tour. So this leads us to tip number 6. Do a bit of research of the site beforehand. Even if you engage the services of a tour guide to take you around the site and explain the history and legends and cultural significance of Chichen Itza, it still really pays off to do a bit of research beforehand about the history of the site to enhance the experience of your visit to Chichen Itza. Believe me, there is a lot to learn about ancient Mayan civilizations. As somebody who has traveled a lot among Mayan peoples and as somebody who has studied Mayan history and culture and has written about it, you can never stop learning about this amazing civilization. So no matter if you engage the services of a local, there's just always more and more to learn about these places and these ancient peoples. So if you don't want to feel overwhelmed during the visit to Chichen Itza, do a bit of that research beforehand, maybe get an audiobook or a small book guide that you can buy in Merida or Valladolid or even online. Read up on the history of the site and what ancient Mayan civilization used to look like. It will really give you an appreciation that will pay off once you're there at the spot where these amazing events took place. Tip number 7 is a bit more of a heads up, and that is remember to not climb the structures. So you've probably seen images of people atop of the pyramid in Chichen Itza, or climbing the Mayan ruins and taking selfies and pictures at the top of these ruins. I just want to give you a heads up that due to the vast amounts of visitors that Chichen Itza receives, that is completely not allowed in any place in the site. As a way of protecting the sites from the erosion of receiving millions and millions of visitors a year, visitors are not allowed to climb on any of the structures in Chichen Itza. So just be mindful of this rule. Some tourists in the past have tried to climb the pyramid when it was forbidden to take a selfie at the top. They thought it was cheeky, and even the other tourists did not take kindly to it. So unless you want to get kicked out of this site, remember to be respectful of the site itself. Keep within the delimitations that have been marked to guide you through the site, and just respect the cultural heritage of the Mexican people. Tip number 8, take amazing pictures using the ruins to your advantage. So the ancient Mayans were amazing builders who made sweeping advances in architecture and in building these magnificent structures that draw millions and millions of visitors a year. So one of my best photography tips for visiting Chichen Itza would be to use the structures themselves and to find different angles to enable you to take better pictures of the site. There are many different lines and different angles from which you can take pictures that will really make the site shine and you in it. So while most tourists will just walk up to the pyramid of Kukulkan and snap the same old bland picture, try to find some creative new angles that will allow you to take pictures of the site that are creative and amazing. Try visiting the same structures at different times of the day if you're there for a long time, so you can have different lighting angles to play with. It pays off to be patient and to wait for people to move out of the way so you can get better pictures of Chichen Itza. I can promise and guarantee you that this will be one of your favorite travel memories of the Yucatan Peninsula. So get creative, maybe even look up some interesting compositions online and get some ideas so that you too can make your pictures shine. Tip number 9, remember to bring cash. Once you pay your entry fees and gain access to the site, every single transaction will more than likely be cash-based. So remember to bring some cash to either spend on some extra water if you really need to stay hydrated, or some snacks, or if you want to buy souvenirs from any one of the vendors who set up shop inside the site. I would consider bringing anything between 500 to 800 pesos or even more, depending on whether you're thinking of buying souvenirs or not, because souvenirs can be pretty expensive in Chichen Itza, just so you can make sure that you will have access to everything you need once you are inside the site. So what you can buy with that money is anything from food at the entrance to Chichen Itza, snacks and water once you're inside the site, or souvenirs from many of the vendors who line the trails around the site. Which brings us to tip number 10. Don't buy souvenirs inside the site. Although you can really help the local economy by buying souvenirs inside the site of Chichen Itza itself, the souvenirs sold inside the site are greatly overpriced. So just know that any single initial offering of a souvenir is going to be grossly overpriced, especially if you look like a tourist, especially if you look like a tourist from Europe or the United States. So if you found something that you really like, you can do one of two things to buy those souvenirs for a better rate. You can either really haggle with the people to get a fairer price that is closer to what it's actually worth, or another thing that you can do is simply either wait till you get to Mérida or Valladolid or another city in the Yucatan Peninsula and just buy that particular souvenir there. To be honest, most of the souvenirs that are sold inside the site are pretty generic. You can find them anywhere else on the Yucatan Peninsula pretty easily. So don't feel pressure to buy something inside the site unless you really want to contribute to the economy of the locals, and don't mind paying the grossly overinflated prices inside the site, or if you know you're too lazy to try to find it somewhere else. So that's it, guys. These are my 10 best tips for visiting Chichen Itza. I really hope that you got some value from this video and that these 10 tips will allow you to make the most of your visit to this amazing UNESCO World Heritage Site. It'll really be worth it. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Click the notifications bell to keep up with all of our adventures. Remember that we bring you stories from amazing places and incredible people from all around the world. So enjoy your visit to Chichen Itza, and remember to keep on rambling and roving. Safe travels.